All right, A to Z Sports. It's the Titans halftime live here. And wow, what an ugly first half of football. It is a 20-3 score with the Houston Texans on top of your Tennessee Titans at halftime. Will Levis is hurt. The Titans, everything that probably could have gone wrong went wrong in that first half. And now you are left with an injured rookie quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, in the game. You salvaged 3 points at the end. But, Jack, it was all Texans here just to go here in this first half. So quick shout out to all of our partners. That's the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, X Golf Nashville, the Mint Gaming Hall, Chimney Adventure Science Center, and Jarrett Companies. But wow, yeah, what a frustrating first half. And the Titans are in trouble. Andre Dillard, still pathetic. A lot of things that could have gone wrong went wrong, and it's 20-3 Houston at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the discourse was heading into this week. Should Will Levis play? Are game reps more important than his overall health behind this offensive line with a left tackle problem? And
So
we've seen multiple left tackles give a back-breaking sack so far.
Let's go ahead and do that. By the way, like this stuff, this is a bad comment by James. Tim Kelly needs firing. He doesn't have an offensive line. And since the chat's already coming for me, let's do the conversation now. The Titans should have played Will Levis in this game. It's the right decision, was still the right decision, is still the right decision. That injury is to his right foot is what it appears to be, which is a foot injury, not an ankle injury, on a different leg, completely new injury. So this is not a matter of his ankle not being good enough to go and him re-injuring the ankle. This is still the right decision. It will always be the right decision. You cannot live and operate in fear and just not play your quarterback out of fear that he might get hurt. So you can be upset about it. You can be upset about the result of it. Maybe moving forward, if Will Levis has multiple injuries, the Titans could be more hesitant to put him back in. But if your quarterback is healthy, he needs to play football games. That's what they did. Regardless of what happened today or what continues to happen, it will always be the right decision. So argue with somebody else about it.
You know, if the Titans had won a divisional game, if there are different things at play today where Mike Vrabel isn't trying to clean up a bad record in garbage time this season, maybe this conversation is a little bit differently. However, now we're looking at Ryan Tannehill behind center, who I absolutely do not believe should be behind center. Why not throw Malik Willis in here right now? We're running out the clock in this season. We know what Ryan Tannehill's done. He's not going to be back next year. Malik Willis has a chance to be back next year. Malik Willis should start the second half for the Titans. He won't, but he should. You know, it's a really frustrating first half, Sam, because before this game, I believe the Titans would come out with a little edge, playing in Houston, trying not to get swept. You know, Andre Johnson, I believe, is going up in the rafters over there. He's in the house. You know, there were just different aspects. And then you have the Levis versus Stroud, which we won't get to see. I called for 300 yards from Levis. He's not even going to get to 30 because he's not going to be able to play. Yeah. So it's a really frustrating effort, and it's one of those days where you'd rather spend your time elsewhere. You'd rather watch good games around the league because of just how bad this is. True Titans fans, I know, are going to stick through this one with me, but I can't blame you for being upset about this. This is as bad as they have looked all season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic Titans effort, right? I mean, you take the ball out of your quarterback's hands early by letting Houston extend their drives, dumb penalties that extend drives, allow them to dominate time of possession. You get into manageable spots and get dumb penalties on offense and like illegal shifts that cost you first downs. It was just a Titans first half of all the things that have plagued them throughout the first half. And I guess, Jack, because really the chat right now is living and dying with the Will Levis injury situation. Rightfully so, right? This is what people care about right now. So where do you stand on the idea that, my idea that the Titans should have played Will Levis in this game? And Andre says Sam's being emotional, whatever. I think the reaction, it is an emotional reaction to get caught up in the moment and say, this is why this is such a dumb decision. This is why it was stupid, because Will Levis is hurt now. That's an emotional reaction to the objective reality that he's a rookie quarterback who needs to play. So I think that's a more emotional decision. I'm curious where you fall. Obviously, we're pretty clear about this, right? You have more of a Titans fandom in you than I do. And so I'm just curious to see where you stand on this.
You know, Sam, I'd love to come out here with a hot take because I know that makes the show more fun and the comments more spicy. but I truly see it from both sides. Like I totally understand that there's no reason to play Will Levis, that he's probably already shown you, everything that you need to see. There wasn't anything that he was going to do today that would have given you more confidence, less confidence heading into next season with him. He's kind of put his resume on tape. He's got good tape out there. You feel like you've got the guy moving forward. On the other side, hindsight's 2020, right? It's easy to say now that Will Levis shouldn't have gone out there behind a bad offensive line. Mike Vrabel trying to clean up a bad season with maybe a divisional win late in it. But the fact of the matter is, Mike Vrabel, this decision was up to him. And while the season was over and Will Levis, there probably wasn't a lot of meat left on the bone for Levis this season, he decided to play him. Now, his reasons, I'm not sure of. There's been speculation.
It's experience. And so I know, like, again, hindsight, you can look back and say, well, a couple things. Hindsight, you can always say, well, what good experience is he getting if he's hurt? Which is true. He can't get a ton of experience if he's hurt. And I will give credit to some people in the chat, as Connor points out. People have been saying it all week. This is not like some new hindsight. This is why you shouldn't have played him type of thing. There were people in my chat earlier in the week telling me why the Titans shouldn't play Will Levis. But you'll remember, chat, I also said at the time, even if you play Will Levis in the game and he gets hurt, it's still the right decision to start him. You cannot operate out of fear where any player just, like, why is DeAndre Hopkins in this game? Why is Treylon Burks in this game? Might as well sit Tajay Spears as well. Sit anybody and everybody, because why? You just don't want them to get hurt? That's not really how football works from a player's perspective, a coach's perspective, an organizational perspective. You play football games because that's what you're paid to do, and it's your job. So I understand why fans are upset that he's hurt. I understand the fear that fans had coming into the week, but you go to the game to play. And if you're healthy enough to play, Will Levis was healthy enough to play in this game. This is not a re-injury of his ankle. It's a new thing that arose. It's no different than if Will Levis would have torn his ACL in this game or gotten concussed in this game or whatever it is. It's a separate injury. It's a separate issue. It needs to be analyzed separately. So, yeah, he should have still played. My stance on that hasn't changed, but there were people that said that earlier in the week.
I get you. And, with new information, you can kind of conform your takes and build your arguments around, what you have now that you didn't have earlier this week. It's a new injury. It's not the same ankle injury, right? So I hear your point there. I would give pushback on the experience thing, because you gotta ask yourself, I think, if you're Mike Vrabel, is this week going to help or hurt Will Levis moving forward? Are these going to be good reps or bad reps? And when you have the situation at left tackle that you do, it's the risk is raised for re-injury or a new injury. And it just felt to me like there was more
off season.
I know you can't bubble wrap your quarterback, and I know this isn't the right way to think about things if you're the coach. But it just feels like the Titans had more to lose by starting Will Levis than they had to gain this week. And I think that's where Titans fans' frustration comes from.
Yeah, but I don't know if I agree with that. And I don't know if they agree with that. I mean, Will Levis has been vocal himself about how much he wants to continue to develop and improving. He has said himself, week over week, I see constant improvement, even through the bad, even through the mistakes that happen of, hey, what could I have done better? And by the way, that sack that he took that got him injured was his fault. I mean, that was a pressure coming from not from his blind side, from right where he was looking off the right side of the line. And he failed to step up into the pocket. He should have stepped up into the pocket there, right? You live, you learn, and Will Levis needs to grow and improve there, right? And that's an example of where a bad play can be helpful and formative for a young quarterback at improving his game. And so he has been vocal about that. Tim Kelly, Mike Vrabel, they very much view this as an opportunity to, hey, we might be overmatched in this game. It might be a difficult task for him to just go out there and succeed, but him just playing football is still a win and is still something that they clearly value. And I do agree with that idea that you need to value reps. I know you might not think that they're great reps. I know that most people look at it and say, hey, like, this is a challenge. But challenging a young quarterback helps a young quarterback improve. And so that is what they valued over anything else. And I tend to side on their side. I think this is still the right decision.
All right, I want to ask you and the chat this question. It's not on the script. I'm going off script here at the halftime show because we usually do what's your confidence level.
Yeah, confidence level's a 0. Like
I think that everyone sits at a 0 right now, barring some sort of miracle
football game.
I want to ask you, Sam, and I want the chat to chime in here as well. Do you think that the Titans should roll Will Levis out there again? After seeing what happened
I mean,
today and what the offensive line just is showing you on a week-to-week basis, do you think that there's a point to roll Will Levis out there for the rest of
yeah.
the season?
My stance doesn't change on this. It always, it's black and white, and it comes down to his injury status. If Will Levis is healthy and there is no risk of re-injury,
But we know he's
and
not healthy. We know he's
well,
not healthy.
right now, well, I don't know what the analysis is in the locker room, right? Maybe he got, like, if his ankle's a little banged up, or not ankle, if his foot's like banged up right now where he can't go and play like himself, then you don't put him out there, because you don't put a guy out there who cannot, as Mike Vrabel says, protect himself, play football the correct way. Coming into this week, he was able to do all of those things. He looked like himself in practice. He was fully healthy. And if the quarterback is healthy, he plays. It's very black and white to me. So you don't force him to go out there just to force him to go out there. But if he's able-bodied, yes, I still put him out there. I don't care what you might fear about the offensive line. So it just depends on his injury status.
Yeah, for me, I think that unless he's 100%, which I don't think he can get back to in this short of time with this amount of time left in the season, I think you sit him. You don't put a limited Will Levis behind this offensive line. He's now dealing
Limited,
with
absolutely limited.
he's now
I totally
dealing
agree.
with two lower leg injuries on each different leg. So I don't think that he's going to be healthy enough to be able to protect himself. So for that reason, I think it's time to shut Will Levis down for the season. The Titans need to protect their assets.
Yeah, I mean, difference in limited, right? If Will Levis was limited coming into this game and wasn't able to move a ton and was still kind of feeling some pain in that ankle, it changes my stance on how you approach it. I don't think you play a limited young quarterback behind a bad offensive line when you're not playing for anything. But if he's healthy and he's good to go and he feels good, you still play him. And I'll feel that way going into next week too. We'll see how he progresses over the next, even couple hours. He hasn't been ruled out for the game yet. He's questionable to return with a foot injury, but see how he progresses throughout the rest of today, throughout the rest of the week, and then you see where he's at. Got a couple super chats here. Eric Robinson says, you need game reps, people. It's that simple to develop and get better. You have to play. It's the end of the season. He'll get rest in the offseason. I agree with this wholeheartedly too. Is like, you are at the end of the season right now. If this is week 4, week 5, and there might be a benefit to, like, let's sit Will for a couple of weeks and then get him 100% like later in the year, there is a benefit to that of, like, hey, you don't want to keep getting your quarterback like banged up here, and here. But you're heading into the offseason. If he has an ankle injury, which he did
does
last week, or if he has a foot injury, which he does right now, he can take a couple of weeks and get right in January. But you don't have opportunities to play football games in January and February. And that is invaluable, as I would say, and as Mike Vrabel would say, and as Eric Robinson would say. Gary says that sack was his fault. What? Yeah, the one he got hurt on was his fault. It wasn't an immediate loss by Ojukwu. Pressure took a minute to get there. It was coming from the side.
I think there was multiple people to blame there. The left tackle did not do a great job.
Well, it wasn't really a left tackle. It came from the right side, though. He was looking at the
Ojukwu, wherever he was.
Yeah, right side, though. I mean, in general, as a quarterback, unless it's an immediate loss by your offensive lineman, you're dropping back, pressure's coming from the side, he had room to step up. I think he needed to step up there. So I think you can definitely put some blame on Will Levis for that particular sack. I mean, these ones at the end of the half where Tannehill was getting hit by the Will Anderson on the blind side was just Andre Dillard doing Andre Dillard stuff. TLG says call CPS if they put Levis out there, which
I agree
is funny. I'll take that. That's a funny comment. Andre says, now I'm concerned about his injury status as a whole. Entire year last year at Kentucky camp, a couple months ago, 2 weeks ago, and now again it's concerning. Yeah, I do think this is fair from Andre of, like, Will Levis has been plagued by lower body injuries for the greater part of 2 years now.
Sam,
what needs to happen in the offseason to get him right where this doesn't become a reoccurring thing next season?
Mm-hmm. Let's actually table that conversation. I'll come to the post-game show with all his injury history so we can go ahead and dive in and really hit it from all angles. So we'll table that conversation. The third quarter is already underway. We appreciate all of you guys jumping in here at halftime. Hopefully the second half is more positive than the first half, but we'll see you guys here in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll be back for the post-game show. Jack and I breaking down any sort of thing that happens in the second half. We'll see kind of what happens here. But yeah, come tune in for that if you want to keep yelling at me. I'll take it. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. Tighten up. We'll see you guys later.